Have you ever listened to classical music and you had no idea what you were listening to? How many times did you just stop listening to it? Or how many times have you just played it in the background for you to completely do something else and just ignore it? If this is relatable, this video is for you. What the hell is classical music and why do people listen to it? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your first music lesson of 2023. I am Sean and I will be your teacher for today. I'll be talking about what the hell is so impressive about classical music and why do people listen to it. And by people, I mean mostly rich and old people. First of all, I think classical music has a stigma of being very conservative, which I think is true. But most people think because it's so conservative, it's only appealing to old, rich, or very highly educated people. And as a young music student that's studying Bachelor of Music myself, people think I only listen to Beethoven or Mozart. And although I do like listening to Beethoven and Mozart, I do listen to R&B, to pop, to hip-hop, to even UK drill and even hardstyle. Well, hardstyle only when I'm at the gym. And by the way, I am Korean, but I don't listen to K-pop, I'm sorry. But out of all the genres we all listen to today, I think I can only confidently categorize one genre as the true art form of music, that being classical music, and perhaps jazz to some degree. Now, before all of you guys start getting triggered that I didn't pick your favorite genre as an art form of music, let me first try to define what my definition of art form is. Yes, there are two main definitions of art. The art I'm talking about in this case refers to the arts, which refers to the various branches of creative activities such as painting, music, literature, and dance. So when I describe classical music as being the one true art form of music, I am saying this in the most fundamental sense, where music is expressed through the pure, basic, and fundamental form of musical writing. Here's an example. Here's a sheet music of a jazz clarinet solo. Now here's the sheet music of a piano solo from Mozart, which is classical music. Even if you have no musical knowledge or no knowledge of music theory at all, something tells you that the second piece has an essence of purity, doesn't it? Now, the other definition of art is probably the one that most people refer to, which is the expression or application of the creative skills and imagination of a person, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. And yes, by this definition, anything can be considered as art, which means anything can be and will be up to interpretation. But there was this one sentence that my lecturer in last week's class said to the whole class that kind of upset me a little bit. She said that all music has value. And while that is true, and of course we all understand what she means by that in the general sense, if you put that statement into the context of a specific genre, especially classical music, the statement is absolutely rubbish. And yes, I know this is a bad look on classical music, but just bear with me. You see, a genre in music is like and very similar to a different ball sport. While a lot of sports each has a ball and the whole structure and system of the game is built around that ball, there are essentially an unlimited amount of possibilities, rules and methods you can apply to the sport to make a whole different game. And mind you, even if it's the same type of ball, if the objective of the whole game and the purpose of the whole game is different, then it's a completely different sport. So, coming back to music, while all music are based on these musical notes, each genre has different set of rules and a whole different perspective on what you can do and what you can achieve with these notes. So when my lecturer said that all music has value, that's sort of like going to a soccer game and saying that your 3-point shooting skills are superb. Like, it's useless. Okay, so why am I telling you all of this? Firstly, to be able to understand the works of classical music, you have to understand its rules. Pop music, for instance, in my opinion, I think it's been heavily industrialized to be able to appeal to anyone without musical knowledge. So basically its job is only to sound good. And while that's very appealing and there's nothing wrong with that, this is why classical music is so important, because nowadays we're losing that level of depth we get in an art form. Okay, so the rules of classical music are pretty conservative but very simple. A line of music is written, and that's typically the most important line. It's called the melody. Anyone knows what a melody is, right? It's like the most important voice of any song. Typically in pop music, that'll be the singer's part. But in classical music, another line of music is written to be layered on top of one another, to be played strictly in time. So when you get a big work, a big classical work, such as like a big orchestral piece, like a symphony, essentially what that is a bunch of instruments with their own individual musical line layered on top of one another and played at the same time. And obviously some lines of music are a bit more important than others. And I think as a listener, it's much easier to listen to a symphony if you try and really listen and to try and really figure out what the main line of music is, what the melody is. And for the people who want to get technical about it, obviously I'm only talking about the Baroque and classical era, because past that, obviously the music evolves. So with all of this knowledge in mind, let me show you a clip of a psychologist and a philosopher, Jordan B. Peterson, talking about music.
Music is a very strange art form. I had a great journalist friend of mine. He said to me the other day, he said, all art aspires to the condition of music, which I thought was great.
Okay.
So let's think about what music is. First of all, it's a pattern. So non-patterned music is noise. It's a pattern. But then it isn't one pattern. It's multiple patterns layered on top of one another in a harmonious manner, and in a manner that indicates, in some sense, communication between all the patterned layers, because they have to go together. And so, what's the world? Well, the world's made of objects. It's like, no, it's not. It's made of patterns. So music is just like the world, because the world's made of patterns. And then music has layered patterns that are all moving together in a harmonious manner. And so what do you do when you hear that, especially if it's got a beat? Well, then you move your body, and you want to, right? The music calls to you to move your body. So now you're moving your body in sync with the patterned layers of the world. Well, that's meaning. And then there's more to it. So that's so cool, is music is an analog of the structure of existence itself. And it calls... The thing that I thought that struck me as so miraculous about music, and why it has this element of salvation. It's like it puts you directly in touch with the meaning that sustains you in life, directly. And it shows you what that would be, which is something like to observe the harmonious interplay of the patterns of being stacked on top of one another, and then to bring yourself into alignment with that, which is what yogis strive to do, and what disciplined athletes strive to do, and what we celebrate in athletics. And it's all a reflection of the same thing. And that's real. It's real, that meaning.
I can confidently say that no other musical genre displays this better than classical music. The whole art of classical music is based around this concept. It's called counterpoint. And who else does this the best in the history of music? None other than my boy Johann Sebastian Bach. Bach lived in the 1700s in Germany. Do you know this piece? Do you also know this piece? How about this one? Or this one? Yes, this is all the works of my boy Johann Sebastian Bach. And the reason why I want to talk about him today is because of his extraordinarily influential works that became the fundamental and the basis of the entire genre of classical music. Let's explore one of his pieces. So, now I'm going to be playing you a fugue from Bach's Prelude and Fugue number 7, book 1. In this fugue, there's going to be 3 different lines of music, or as we call it, 3 different voices. Typically in a Bach fugue, Bach always starts with the main melody line I was talking about earlier. This is called the subject. It's very important that you recognize the main line of music that I played for you in the beginning, because this main line is going to happen all throughout the 3 voices throughout the whole fugue. So, this is the subject. So that was voice 1, and this is now voice 2 that comes in a bit later. Sounds the same, right? And then now voice 3. Now, I'll be playing for you the 3 different and individual musical lines, and just close your eyes and try to listen out for the subject. This is voice 1 again. Now, this is voice 2. Now we have voice 3. That's beautiful, right? Now, if we put all of the 3 voices together, it will sound like this. I hope that gave you some sort of insight to what classical music and what Bach really is. Now, because this was a music lesson, I'm going to give you guys some homework to do for next week. And that homework is to go and listen to some other works written by Bach. If you want to go and listen to some keyboard works by Bach, I really recommend Sir Andres Schiff. In my opinion, he's the best Bach player. He's my favorite Bach player. And he's just so elegant and so skillful with every voice that he plays. And also his vast knowledge and understanding of Bach as a person really shows through his playing. There's a few videos of him playing the entire Book 1 and Book 2 of Bach's Prelude and Fugue at the BBC Proms. I recommend you go check that out. Also go check out some string pieces he wrote for the violin, a few cello suites. Bach cello suites are very nice. And also there are some pretty good ensemble pieces as well. So that's it for today. I hope this was a very educational and very fun video to watch. If you like these sort of videos, if you like classical music or you want to get into listening to classical music, please subscribe. I think next week I'm going to do a video on piano technique. So if you're interested, if you want to improve your piano technique or you just want to start learning piano, just click subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos that I release. That's it for you guys. And if you like the video, obviously click like. If you have any questions, comment down below and I'll try to answer all of them the best as I can. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying until the end of the video and I'll see you next time. Do your homework.